thing is getting even more bizarre. One of the key allegations in her complaint against Justin Baldoni, she writes, on another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Ms. Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. At one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips and down her neck. Mr. Baldoni was caressing Ms. Lively with his mouth. When Ms. Lively later objected to this behavior, Mr. Baldoni's response was, "I'm not even attracted to you." Well, guess what? And you can hear Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni interacting as themselves. No such moment is shown. They're acting like lovers.
And my nose is so big.
Yes. That's her big harassment moment. They are playfully acting. She's completely flirtatious with him. He is flirtatious back, but they're talking about their spouses. She doesn't say, "Oh my God, you nuzzled me and said that I smell good." She, like, time and time again, she accuses him of doing something, which then when you hear the full context, she said, he came in my trailer while I was breastfeeding. Well, then he produced the text messages showing her saying, "I'm breastfeeding, come on over." She accused his producing partner of showing her pornography, absolutely non-pornographic. Can't see any body parts. You can just see that two people clearly are in a bathtub holding their baby. You tell me whether that's what that looks like to you. She wants us to believe this is actionable harassment, what we just witnessed there, where she filed her lawsuit against him, saying this is all retaliatory and asking the court to shut him and Brian Friedman up because they're trying to try this case in the media. The only reason this whole thing got started before she filed the lawsuit, she clearly cooperated with the New York Times to leak the whole thing. Indeed, that's, Brian argues, the reason she went and filed the complaint with the Human Rights Division. She alleges that she's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd. I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have. What does she have to fear if she's telling?
Blake Lively's shocking feud with Justin Bond may be on the brink of undermining the fight against real abuse. In recent weeks, a whirlwind of accusations, leaked texts, and controversial interviews has thrust these two prominent figures into the public eye. At first, it might seem like just another typical Hollywood clash, a director and actress disagreeing over creative choices, or personalities colliding on set. But there's more to this than meets the eye, and the consequences could ripple far beyond Hollywood gossip. Media figure Megyn Kelly has stepped up to warn of a deeper issue. She fears that if Blake's allegations against Justin are found to be exaggerated or manipulated, it could lead to greater skepticism toward real abuse survivors. Before we dive into the details of the accusations, let's explore why Megyn Kelly and many others believe this conflict has much larger implications for the fight against misconduct. Megyn Kelly, known for tackling controversial topics head-on, hasn't held back on commenting about the Blake versus Justin drama. Her concern is clear. When high-profile accusations later turn out to be stretched or taken out of context, it can harm the credibility of real victims. While Blake Lively claims she was made uncomfortable, manipulated, or bullied on set, Justin Bond's legal team has been presenting evidence that paints a very different picture, one that raises questions about her intentions. Kelly's worry is that if a mega-celebrity uses accusations for leverage, whether for career gains or personal control, it sets a dangerous precedent. Real women who have suffered might be disbelieved or invalidated when high-profile allegations turn out to be inconsistent. This issue goes beyond a simple actress-director dispute. It's about how easily the public narrative can overshadow genuine cases of harassment. Kelly's message is clear: false narratives do real harm to real survivors, and they can't simply be fixed by new headlines or sensational stories. With Kelly's warning in mind, we turn to a strategy that's becoming all too common in high-stakes Hollywood conflicts: the gag order. Reports indicate that Blake Lively's team requested a court order to prevent Justin Bond, his lawyers, and possibly even Kelly's camp from releasing more texts, emails, or recordings that might undercut her claims. After a storm of negative press and contradictory leaks, Blake might be hoping that the legal system can help her maintain control of the narrative. However, Justin Bond is reportedly pushing back, determined to defend his reputation and release evidence that contradicts Blake's version of events. The leaked texts and behind-the-scenes footage tell a very different story from Blake's public allegations. While Blake claims that Justin repeatedly crossed boundaries and made her feel uncomfortable, some messages show Blake inviting him to her trailer for private moments. This complicates the narrative, raising doubts about her portrayal of Justin as a persistent boundary pusher. Justin has made it clear that he's not backing down, especially as more evidence is released to the public, showing a very different side of the story. Known for her polished public persona, Blake Lively's image has begun to crack as fans revisit past interviews and interactions. Some have pointed out that Blake often comes across as dismissive or condescending, cutting off interviewers or steering conversations toward her own accomplishments while downplaying others' contributions. This shift in perception gained momentum as major news outlets picked up the story and started scrutinizing Blake's public statements. The more people looked into her past, the more inconsistencies they found, and this is when it became clear that the feud wasn't just a petty dispute, it was a full-scale PR battle, one that could ultimately undermine trust in genuine abuse cases. When Justin Bond's team started releasing text messages from Blake's phone, skepticism around her allegations grew stronger. These messages were particularly revealing, as they showed Blake initiating contact with Justin, inviting him to her private space, and appearing to willingly engage with him professionally. This made it difficult to believe her version of events, where she portrays Justin as an invasive figure. Leaked footage of dance scenes, which Blake had previously described as uncomfortable or violating, further weakened her position. The footage showed both Blake and Justin engaging in light-hearted conversations about their personal lives, revealing a far more casual interaction than what Blake had described. The contradictions between Blake's public statements and the leaked evidence left many questioning her motivations. Some have suggested that Blake may be distorting certain gestures or interactions to support her lawsuit. As if this wasn't enough, additional rumors have suggested that Blake may have been attempting to take control of the film's direction, overshadowing the original vision. Reports claim that Blake produced her own version of the film without consulting Justin, which is highly unusual for a lead actor. Even if a star has clout, locking themselves in a separate editing room to create a competing cut is rare. Blake's alleged threats to withhold promotion unless her version was used only fueled suspicions of her controlling behavior. One particularly eyebrow-raising detail involves her husband, Ryan Reynolds. According to insiders, Ryan either wrote or revised certain scenes without Justin's involvement. While it's common for spouses to informally suggest edits or tweaks, doing so without the director's approval breaks industry norms. This suggests that Blake might have felt empowered enough to bring her inner circle into the creative process, sidelining Justin's authority. Some even claim that Blake used her friendship with Taylor Swift as a form of leverage, comparing herself to a powerful fantasy character and boasting about her dragons, Ryan and Taylor, who could defend her publicly if needed. To top it off, Justin was reportedly not allowed to appear alongside the cast at the film's premiere. He later revealed that he was practically banished to the basement with his family, completely blocked from participating in the event. For someone who had poured so much into writing, directing, and acting in the project, that must have felt like a calculated move to push him out of the spotlight. Instead of sharing in the celebration, he was left on the sidelines, watching as Blake took center stage. Critics of Blake claim this is evidence of a larger scheme to portray Justin as a villain, allowing her to swoop in, take the moral high ground, and possibly wrest control from him creatively. If she could convince the public, and perhaps the courts, that she was mistreated, it could justify her taking charge, creating her own cut, and overshadowing the entire production. While this remains speculative, as more messages are leaked, many are starting to view these actions as a carefully planned power play. This saga between Blake Lively and Justin Bond is far from over. Court proceedings and possible gag orders may determine what further details emerge in the coming weeks. New text messages, hidden documents, or behind-the-scenes accounts could either validate or dismantle Blake's claims. The public's perception has shifted dramatically as more pieces of the puzzle surface, but there may still be key perspectives missing that could change the entire narrative. What's clear is that this dispute has become about more than two celebrities clashing over a film. It's turned into a cautionary tale about how allegations, especially in the realm of misconduct, must be carefully examined. Every new development forces us to question whether Blake's accusations are based on genuine experience, or if she was trying to protect her image and career by presenting herself as a victim. Meanwhile, Justin's reputation hangs in the balance, and he's left to prove his innocence in the court of public opinion, a place that can be both harsh and unjust. One critical point from Megyn Kelly's warning stands out above all. False or exaggerated stories can have real consequences for women who need society's support and belief. When a high-profile figure's narrative crumbles under contradictory evidence, it casts doubt on future claims, even those backed by solid proof. This skepticism is a painful cost paid by actual survivors, whose experiences are questioned because of someone else's questionable allegations. So, where do we go from here? As viewers, we must keep an open mind, recognizing the difference between legitimate misconduct and exaggerated publicity stunts. We must demand real evidence, instead of blindly accepting sensationalized headlines. And we should remember that behind the glamour, celebrities are still people, capable of mistakes, manipulations, and self-serving agendas. Ultimately, it's up to each of us to sift through the noise, form our own conclusions, and stay vigilant, ensuring that true victims are heard and validated, rather than lumped in with those who may be distorting the truth for their own gain. If you've stuck with the story this far, ask yourself, do Blake's accusations reflect a real experience of abuse or a calculated maneuver gone wrong? Is Justin truly to blame, or is he yet another Hollywood figure forced to defend himself in an increasingly polarized environment? We may not have all the answers yet, but one thing is clear. In a battle between powerful players, it's often the real survivors who risk being forgotten, and that's a reality we cannot overlook. As this feud continues to unfold, expect more revelations to come. No matter how flashy the headlines get, the deeper takeaway remains the same. Until the full truth emerges, we must tread carefully, discerning between genuine calls for help and carefully crafted narratives that could harm the very people they aim to protect. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when new secrets come to light.